And then she had a list of 24 that she wanted to either kill or ended up setting him up for drugs and getting him put in prison for life.
Hi, everybody. Todd Denkin here with Becoming the King of Pot. Welcome back to another episode. With me, as always, is my handsome cousin, the King of Pot, Bruce Perlowin. Bruce, welcome back.
Thank you, Todd. It's a pleasure to be here, as always.
As always, yes, I would agree. And before we get started today, telling more Lana stories, if you are watching us for the first time or the 100th time, thank you for that. But please hit that subscribe button. It helps us on our quest here at Becoming the King of Pot. So thanks in advance for smashing that subscribe button. So Bruce, you had kind of two lives with Lana, one in prison, one out of prison. And let's talk about the juxtaposition of that. What changed and what was more interesting? The in-prison, mystique of your controlled environment, or you guys out in the wild?
Well, that's an interesting question. Probably they're equal because there's certain stories that happened in prison that you can't repeat out in the wild, and there's
Yeah.
definitely things out in the wild that you cannot repeat that you couldn't duplicate from being in prison. Um, so, as an example, when 60 Minutes came to interview Svetlana in her room, they came into the compound, they went to her room and interviewed her. And after that interview, by the way, and for those of you that remember, that was the number one watch 60 Minutes in the history of 60 Minutes, the best of 60 Minutes of a decade of the 80s. Michael also remembers 25 years of 60 Minutes and 35 years of 60 Minutes, which the show aired with that episode. She was furious. I go, what? She goes, she was so mad because Mike Wallace was asking her, well, you say you're not a Russian spy, right? Remember, she never admitted it. She was the not
Yeah.
spy. But yet you have a picture of Mikhail Gorbachev up on your wall. And so she was really quick thinker, too. She had a genius IQ, I'm sure. And she says, yeah, but I had a picture of Reagan up there, too. She didn't have a picture of Reagan. She just had a picture of Gorbachev.
Right.
So so those are the kind of interesting little tidbits that happened in prison that did not duplicate on the outside. However, on the outside, there were some amazing stories. As an example, well, before we leave prison, one of the things in prison, people are always smuggling in drugs. That's what people think about smuggling in. In Pleasanton, you smuggle in perfume, you smuggle in jewelry, you smuggle in, stuff for your girlfriend.
Oh, that's
And
hilarious.
yeah, and every 6 months, you'd get a package of clothing, and so all the boyfriends would send the money to whoever was putting the package together, like their girlfriend's sister or brother or mother or father, and they would buy gorgeous clothes, and there was a whole article in Time magazine on how she dressed in prison. She was a very elegant dresser. I remember she wore velour. They said velour jogging suits. Um, and she was,
That was
she could take
pretty hip
a
in the 80s, those velour jogging suits.
yeah. I mean, and Sarah J. Moore, they quoted her saying Lana could take a sack, potato sack, and wrap it around. She'd do this, she tied this, and tie that, and all of a sudden she had this gorgeous looking gown on. So she was very, very creative in her
Yeah.
dress. Um, as the article defined in Time magazine. So one time she escaped the Kremlin, okay, because that's what she would say, and she wanted to see what, life is like, and she's running around, driving all over, and she gets herself arrested for some reason, probably because she was mouthing off to some police officer, and he takes out a pen, and she goes, "Don't touch that." He goes, "Why? What's it?" And he touches it, pushes the button, about 15 minutes later, the whole friggin' prison is surrounded by KGB agents, and it freaked the guy completely out, that, "Who is this girl?" Because it was the SOS signal. So that was
Oh,
one of the
clicking
things.
the pen was the SOS, I'm in trouble?
Yeah, that set off an alarm and a GPS, I guess, to tell where she was,
Yeah.
and, and they came and rescued her. So
Did she
I
have other kinds of, Batman gadgets and stuff like that?
Oh, yeah. One time she had left, her hats in after prison at a house, and my sister took the hats, all right?
Karen.
Yeah, Karen, and it was really wild because in those hats were, um, cameras,
Oh,
and the
wow.
camera didn't know, and that was, like, top secret military, technology that were wired into those hats, and so Lana was all freaked out. They were gonna put a contract out on Karen to get the hats back, and she used to it was really cute because sometimes we get these, like, real little cameras, like, this big, and she'd look at you, "Why is it so big?"
Right.
Because she's used to,
Right.
like, teeny weeny spy cameras that she, I
Yeah.
guess, had all over the place. So, one quick story. Okay, we're walking in prison, and I told her I slept with 17 women. Now, that was, like,
In prison or
incredible.
17 women up to that point?
Up to that point in my whole
Okay.
life.
Okay.
She goes, "17 women? You whore." I go, "Lana, that's nothing. That's because I had girlfriends for 3 or 4 years. I never cheated on them. That's not a lot compared to my generation." So she goes, That's incredible." She had slept with 2, her ex-husband and me, alright? So we're walking around the inner track. I said, "Okay." So we stop one guy, good-looking guy. I says, how many women have you slept with?" He goes, about 23." You 23? That's, like, incredible. Next person we stop is Steve Kalish, okay? You all see Steve on the podcast? Alright,
Yeah.
says, "Steve, how many women have you slept with?" Now, Steve is a good-looking Texas with a charming smile, and
And a big
yeah,
bank account.
and a big bank account. Yes, a huge bank account. And he goes, about 1,000." She goes, "No, that's impossible." He goes, "Lana, look, I never slept with the same woman twice. Every weekend I had a different woman. Saturday and Sunday we'd go out and party, and that went on for 10 years. So we added it all up, 52 weeks times, 2 is 100 a week for 10 years, came out with 1,000." I So she just couldn't believe that. Then we keep going, the next person we run into is is Ole. I think it's Ole Henderson was his last name, I'm not sure. He was a roadie for the Grateful Dead, and we go, "Ole, how many girls have you slept with your whole life?" Because now my 17 is starting to look really like an innocent, baby child.
Right. Right.
I And he goes, about 10,000." We go, "What? 10,000?" You know? And he goes, "Well, Bruce, you have to understand, I grew up in the middle of the Haight-Ashbury era, and I remember one time we took a van from Washington State down to Haight-Ashbury, and on the drive down, I slept with 5 women in the back of the van." He goes, "That was just what you did back then. So 10,000 is probably my number." So that got me out of hot trouble about sleeping with only 17 women with Lana. Alright.
That's impressive.
Alright, so
That's
one last story
impressive.
with Lana before we end up. Um, we go to school, right? We're going to school on Tuesdays and Thursdays at night, and most of
And this
the,
is in prison still. This is
yeah,
prison,
we're in
right?
prison,
Yeah.
and, I got 5 college degrees, made straight A's, National Dean's List, National President's List. I loved going to school and studying. And, I studied with Steve, and I studied with Ida, I studied with Rosa, and I studied with Mike Sullivan. We all had study groups together. But meanwhile, I'm in school one day, and I'm sitting in a row where, Candace is sitting right in front of me, and so I scoot my desk all the way up to her, and I was
And
always
Candace is
doing.
just some random inmate.
Candace is a cat burglar. But she was
Oh.
lean and mean
She
and
stole cats?
gorgeous.
She drove around stealing cats?
Yeah. So, second story, she'd climb up, go into the woods, a typical cat burglar, and the body of a typical woman that could do that kind of stuff.
Right.
So, she's sitting there and long brown hair, and I scoot my chair right up to hers, and I was always doing things just to experiment. Let me see what happens if I do this? Let me see. Just crazy idea, whatever came into my head. I said, let me try this just to see what happens. So I said, what would happen if I started rubbing her hair? So I'm rubbing her hair. You know, you're not allowed to do that if the guards catch you, but we're in prison. The guards didn't come into prison because you got a professor there, so they didn't need to check on anyone. And she goes, "Mm." I go, "Well, that's interesting." So I rub it some more. She goes, "Mm." Then 2 days later, I do it again, same reaction. Next Tuesday, somebody snitched me off. I don't know who it was. Somebody ratted me out to Lana, and so I'm doing that, same thing, she's doing that, and all of a sudden, Lana, she tells me later, she walks in the back room, and Jerry Decker, he was the professor that runs the she goes, "Shh," because he's looking at me, and he's seeing what I'm doing to Candace, he's not saying a word, and he's looking at Lana, he sees her sneak in the back room, he knows we're boyfriend and girlfriend, and she's sitting there like this, staring at me, and I had a pen, my pen or pencil, I guess, fell off my desk. And it was the weirdest thing, Todd. It was like it hit eraser first and shot back, 2 rows over, and I go down to grab the pen and pick it up, and I'm looking down at the pen, and I see where it shoots, and I look, and I see it hits a sneaker, a very familiar looking sneaker, and I'm looking down at the pen, and I look up, and here's Lana. So, all of a sudden, I break out into a sweat. I just start pushing my chair back away from Candace's little by little, so it wouldn't be noticeable, and she sends me a note. She goes, "Why did you stop?" And I write back, "My girlfriend is here." And I give her the note, sneak her the note. She goes, "Which girlfriend?" I don't know. She thought I had more than one. I didn't. And so that was the scandal in school. Now, this is the same Candace, by the way, which I talked in a previous episode, and then we'll end it there, where we're walking from that same classroom down the hallway and around the corner, and I'm squeezing her rear end, and around the corner comes Lana and looks through the glass doors and catches us or catches me. And, so, I got in those trouble. I somehow wormed my way out of it. But those are some of the exciting, interesting prison stories.
Yeah, dangerous moves when, you're married to a Russian assassin.
Oh, yeah. Oh, okay, speaking of the dangerous side, we worked in Unicorn together. What she did, she's a little girl, 5 foot, and one time we worked on the clamp. It was a big machine that clamped the wood together, and she'd zzz, zzz. Remember that sound? Zzz, zzz,
I do.
with the, electric drill gun.
It's my ringtone now. I like that sound so much.
And all of a sudden, some big, huge guy is coming at another guy with a razor blade knife, alright? And because they got in some altercation, this guy's come with a razor blade knife, and I didn't see this happen. All I do is I turned around and looked where the guard was, and when I turned back, on the ground, Lana has the knife at his throat saying, "Chill out, the guard's coming. Get out, get back to work." Now, she took this guy down somehow with her karate moves or judo moves, whatever she knew, and disarmed him and had the thing to his knife telling him, "Stop fighting. You're gonna get us all you're gonna get yourself and the other guy in trouble and get back to work." So she was quite capable of not just being a marksman, but of taking somebody down with her karate moves.
Wow.
A true
And
spy.
and yet she looks for scandals, but then acted as a peacemaker. Hmm.
Yeah, she was really good at everyone loved Lana. To know her was to love her, sort of, you know? I mean, unless she's kicking you out of the house.
Right, right.
In the house in Dolan Springs where I bought for her, because her son Matthew had stolen the house I bought for her previously, literally stole the house from his own mother, and,
Well, how do you steal a house? Now that you said that, we have to know.
okay, well, back then, I didn't have credit, so I couldn't get a
So
bank
back
account in my
then,
name.
are we saying when?
2000. 2000, yeah, the year 2000 and 1999. I
Okay.
so I and Barbara, Nikolai's girlfriend, she had good credit. So I put $50,000 down on this house, but we put it in Barbara's name. So we would get credit, right? I couldn't pass credit. I had crummy credit. And so now the house is in Barbara's name. I'm making the monthly payments. A couple of years go by, I'm making payments. Matthew comes and they decide they're going to steal the company from me. They go, wow, the bank account's in Barbara's name, even though I wrote all the checks. Now, this is a company that's making 100,000, 125,000 every month selling a Rife machine called Energy Wellness. All right. And Matthew's working for us, as the salesman, stealing machines left and right. He ended up stealing about 1,000 machines, which is retail $3 million. But before that, he's living at this house, and Barbara and them, they're trying to do a coup and say, well, what can Bruce do? The bank account's in our name. The money's in our name. We've stolen all these machines. We have them stored in warehouses and in Barbara's name up at her storage up in LA. We lived in Fallbrook. So let's just take over everything. And so we got in this big dispute and argument. He says, no, you can't take everything. This is. So Matthew says, put the house in my name and I'll resolve the dispute. I'll be the intermediary. So Barbara and we all agree, okay, it's okay to put it in Matthew's name because what's he going to do? Steal the house from his own mother? He's going to give it back to
Ah,
Svetlana. So that's how the house got into his name. All right. And now, when it came time to put it back into Lana's name, he said no. And so what Lana ended up doing is forging some documents to forge his signature to try and get it, say that he was selling it back to her. And
mhm.
he caught her, the agent called her, and he reports her to the authorities and throws his own mother back in prison for 1
What?
year. Yeah.
What?
She ended up going to prison for 9 months out of the 12-month sentence because she was trying to steal the house back that he had stolen from her. The house was nothing. What about the 1,000 machines that he stole?
Yeah.
And again, because I explained last time, because she told me this, he has a little penis, and that made him crazy. Now, that's one of the reasons. The second reason is that when she was arrested in LA, the FBI was watching Matthew. So what he did, she had told him the escape plan. He went out the window in the bathroom, climbed down a tree, went to the Russian embassy, and they flew him back to Russia. And that was in the newspapers, Russian spy's son escapes back to Russia. But
Sure.
because she was arrested and her dad was arrested, he saw it as you abandoned me. They don't, when you're, I don't know, 7 or 8, it's an abandonment thing, and it takes years and years for children of incarcerated parents to get over that abandonment issue. He hated her his whole life because she abandoned him by getting arrested. So he did things like steal machines, steal things. So between the little penis that he had and, it's called micro something, microphalange or micro something, that's a true condition, but, it makes you have a very low self-esteem, and because of the abandonment theory, I assume or just because he was a psychopath in general, I don't know the reasons why. All I know is that what he did is he stole and he's doesn't just steal from me, he stole from everybody. I could point to a dozen cases where he stole. Anyways, back
Well, let me
to,
ask you something. Let me ask you something before you move on. Um, you know, how did you deal with the abandonment issue with your kids? I mean, you spent 9 years behind bars, and, are your kids still angry? Do they still I mean, what's your relationship now? Answer that last, but what was it like, when you had to go away?
well, one, I wrote them not that this alleviated the abandonment theory, but I wrote the Monday letter to Aubrey, my oldest son, every single week and numbered them so they could see, my God, my dad's written me 320 letters up to this point. And the Tuesday letter went to Reese, my second son. And so I don't have a good relationship with Aubrey, and I have a great relationship with Reese. And I just wasn't that close to him because how close can you be with sending letters
Yeah,
to
that's what
him?
I'm saying. I mean, were they, angry at you? Did they go through the whole abandonment, feelings? And Did it affect them in their lives?
I think it affected Aubrey to a certain extent. The problem with Aubrey is that he breaks relationship I broke relationship with him because he stole some money from, uh from me and Lana, at the end, where when she died, it was his inheritance, and he was only supposed to get so much, and he kept it all. Anyways, he cut relationship with everybody, with the Doc Craig, um, his uncles, his cousins. I mean, is he in touch with you ever? You know?
No.
No, he just cuts relationships, and but Reese, on the other hand, I'm fairly close to today, I mean, it's not we're not buddy-buddy, but I certainly when I go down there, I take him out to dinner, I sleep at his house,
Yeah.
and in fact, last time I was down in Orlando,
Yeah, you were at
uh
his studio. Yeah.
yeah, I was at it we did the podcast from his studio. So, Reese and I have a good relationship, regardless. They had good Matthew was in Russia being spoiled to the max, because he's the, grandson of the president of
Grandson
Soviet
of Yuri
Union,
Andropov, right.
and, um, is going to Camp Artek, which is in a town in Sochi on the Black Sea, where only the elite of the elite got to go there, so he goes to Camp Artek every year, but, y you know that's him. My kids, they had good fathers. They had their mothers were great and their stepdads were okay. Were great
Mm.
to okay. They weren't bad. Well, maybe Aubrey's stepdad, he was a bad alcoholic. But Becky, was
Have
a
you ever
great
seen a
mother.
good alcoholic?
No.
Okay.
Well, sort of. A happy alcoholic is not so bad. Or a functional alcoholic is okay too. But an angry alcoholic is not good. So,
No.
Becky did
No.
a great job at raising Reese, and, so Reese is very well adjusted, and we have a good relationship to this day.
That's good. And did they write you back when you were in prison? Did they ever come visit? Any of that?
They both came and visited because I got pictures of them both visiting me in prison. Um, not every month or every week, but, maybe once every 6 months, maybe
Mhm.
once a year, whenever they could, you
What
know?
was it like when you saw them leave from a visit?
I had this whole life that I was totally engaged in, it's like men
Yeah.
and women together. It's like you're in a alternative reality. It's like you're like a microcosm of the world in your own little world, called FCI Pleasanton. You're going to
Right.
school. And I
Right.
knew that they were well taken care of, at least with Reese. Becky is one of the best mothers that out there. She's done really, really good, and I had a lot of confidence in her, and he turned out to be a great kid.
Well, talk about let's hear the Cliff Note version of this, witness story in a capital murder.
I bartered a bunch of printing credits for rent on a 36-acre avocado ranch in Fallbrook, California. The lady who rented us that for the in exchange for the barter credits was Kim Bailey. Alright, well, Kim Bailey had, unbeknownst to us, lured her boyfriend down to Mexico about a year earlier, 6 months earlier, who knows when, and had him kidnapped, tortured, and murdered, and, of course, we didn't know that, but
Well,
as
if
she
they're gonna
got
murder him, why do they have to torture him? Really? No.
well, they tortured him for 5 days, and then they killed him.
Oh, jeez.
She literally wanted to dig a big hole, a basement, and keep him there forever. And the kidnapper said, Kim, we can't do that. Well, you bring him books to read and give him food?" "No, no, no, we can't." So, finally, after enough torture, she said, "Just kill him." So she would
Wow.
tell us that story,
Kim would tell
and
you that story.
Kim would tell us a story little by little. Each time she divulged a little bit more, and she wanted Lana to hire a hitman because she was an ex-Russian spy, so she had to know hitmen to go kill 5 other people. I and so that ended up being, you know, so anyways, that was the story, and Kim wanted to do that, and one
And
day
what
and
what
one
is
day
Kim's story? I mean, what's her story prior to this, kidnapping and torturing her husband?
Well, she said that the guy was stealing money from her. The guy's name was Rick Post. Anybody can Google that. Rick Post, Kim Bailey, Svetlana Gordikova, if you can spell it, and you'll see all the articles about that. Um, so we I had gotten rid of Kim. She needed to flee because they impounded the grand jury, so I sent her to a friend's house in Texas, a guy named Vahid Ziba, and he was into meditation. I figured, let her meditate and calm her down, Vahid, She's too high strung, she wants to kill everybody, and so, meanwhile, the FBI me and Lana are driving out of the ranch one day, and these big doors open up. They're big, swing open gates that you couldn't see through. And here's the FBI pops out of the bushes saying, Kim Bailey, showing their badges because Kim looked like Lana, a little girl with blonde hair. And they go, no. One thing led to another. They found that it was Svetlana. She was supposed to be in Mexico. She was here illegally. The FBI calls, and so Lana was incensed that she wanted to hire hitmen to murder
Right.
somebody because for what? For money? No, Lana was a hero to her country. She was a spy, very patriotic. You don't kill people for money. You kill people because they betrayed your country.
Right,
All right.
right. There's
And
gotta be a reason, a good reason.
yeah, good reason. And money is not a good reason. So anyway, she ended up wearing a wire, got a complete confession from Kim exactly what happened down in Mexico, and ended up being the star witness for the psychopathic serial murder case.
And did she cooperate because she was, busted and, in Mexico or, in the United States instead of Mexico, so that was her deal?
No, part of the deal there was no deal like that. She got nothing for it. No, she what in fact, she got thrown back in prison because the parole officer found out that she was working with the FBI without the parole board's permission, and they threw her back in prison for 90 days. Violation of parole. That was her
Oh, so
reward.
yeah, but that was her reward for testifying
Yeah,
on a 90-day sentence, right?
yeah. Didn't get anything, no time off, no nothing, no not
And she did it why? 'Cause she just wanted she was mad at Kim for asking her to kill people?
Yeah, she thought that was wrong. Well, she wanted to kill 5 others, and 3 of them were good friends of ours, and then she had a list of 24 that she wanted to either kill or ended up setting them up for drugs and getting them put in prison for life. She was on murder momentum, and that's just not Lana's style, is to go out and kill people, and
Yeah.
this lady needed to be stopped, otherwise and Lana didn't do that. She was actively looking for hitmen. And so she was gonna find one and hire him, and people would have really died if Lana didn't intercede and stop this crazy woman.
And what kind of props do you get in prison for being the actual killer or the person who hires the killer? Which is more which is, which gets treated better?
Both.
Ah, interesting.
Well, yeah, okay, there's treated by the inmates in terms of
Right,
status.
that's what I mean, treated by the inmates. Yeah,
Yeah, you're the same. You know, you hired a killer or you're the killer themselves. You have on a 1 to 10 scale, with smugglers, the kingpins being a 10 because, they were the big criminals, or the
yeah,
mafia guys being
yeah.
a 10. A hitman is about a 6 or 7 in terms of credibility and prestige.
You would think that'd be more 'cause, they're not afraid to just whip out and kill anybody at that point, right?
That's true. But, well, in some prisons, yes, you can get it can be more. Um, more punitive stuff can happen to you, and some you can't.
Right.
If you're already in there for life, what's the deal of killing an extra person? Alright, so another story is out of prison, where one of my co-defendants is a guy named Ted Corey, and he got out, and after prison, we both teamed up together because he was a great worker, and he's very honest, and he didn't roll over. So I worked with him in all my businesses, and we're at a party at his house. There's, like, probably, I don't know, 100 people there, and his niece was the singer Tiffany. She did the remake of I Think We're Alone Now. She was a famous singer for, teenagers. You know, they all loved Tiffany way, way back 20 years ago,
Sure.
30 years ago. Anyways, we're at this big party there, and Lana knew everything. In prison, if there was anything going on, she knew what it was. And I learned that what she would do is, like, if a crowd would look at a certain area, she would look. If you heard something that didn't mean anything, you looked at the people and where were they looking, and that told you a story as a person, what you're hearing or what you're seeing. Look at where they're looking. Anyways, so we're at this big party, and somebody's up in the master bedroom, went up into Ted's room and was going through his drawers to, going rifling through his drawers looking to steal something, and Lana caught him. She go, "Wow, that's interesting." She just happened to be there, and then somebody stole a car out front, and Lana knew exactly who it was. I go,
How could she
"She
know
knew."
that?
Well, I asked her that, "How'd you know?" Well, and I remember she was always looking out the front window. She was going out in the back, checking out the people in the back, what they were doing, going upstairs, she just knew every single thing in her surroundings all the time. It was almost like in that movie, Jason Bourne, where he walked into the restaurant, if you doesn't remember, and he sat down with this girl, and he didn't have a memory. He goes, "I know exactly what's going on. I know where the exits are. I know which
Yeah.
cars are out front. I know the license tag of the cars." She was just like that.
Yeah.
She knew everything, and so, luckily, they
Jason
found out
Bourne
who
has
was.
nothing on Lana.
No, and the same kind of fighting skills, she had those too.
Right, right. Well, that's awesome. That is really interesting and really cool stuff because how often do you meet a Russian spy? Never, right? So, so
One
that's been a
last
lot of
little
fun.
story.
Oh, you have
Okay.
one more?
Yeah, one little last story. When she first came to America, she told me, this is a cute story, that they set him up an apartment, and she said, "I spent the whole budget, the whole budget for a year in 1 week, buying refrigerators, washer, dryer, the whole entire budget." So she had to get a job. So so they made her get some kind of job. I forget what kind of job she made, just to teach her a lesson. Don't spend the entire budget in 1 year,
That's
in
right.
1 week for the entire year.
Right, right. Oh,
So,
she probably came to America and was like, "Oh my God." Just looked around and was completely culture shocked.
oh, complete culture shock.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. All right, well, another fun episode, Bruce. And Lana, of course, rest in peace. She was quite a character. Certainly when I knew her, she was big and loud and bold and mean, like you say. I'm not sure I ever saw the warm, loving side of Lana in my days here in Vegas with her. But she was definitely a character, and I'm so glad that you're able to reminisce with us here today about her. Any final words you want to say about Svetlana?
No, just that she's, missed and still loved by a lot of people.
Yeah, it's funny because every time we talk to someone, they always have nothing but love and kind words to say about her. So there you have it. Well, everybody, thanks again for joining us here on Becoming the King of Pot. His name is Bruce Perlowin. My name's Todd Denkin, and we will see you next time.